Hello everybody, it's Conan here again, and boy, oh boy, do I have an update for you. Uh, the first thing you might recognize is, well, we have rooms, we have a level, and beyond that we have a whole bunch of these different tiles of different colors, um, and icons going on, and it's really messy and noisy. But I want to explain to you a little bit what's going on. So I have my level generation going, and you know what would be kind of beneficial is to show you that level generation process. So let's do that real fast. We'll hit play, and you can see the level generating before your eyes. And when it's done generating, it will then, boom, pop in all the different tile types. So you saw that these are all just floors and walls, and they have these different styles that kind of clump together. You know, you got this dark thing kind of clumping together. You have the light and the red all clumping together in their own respective ways. I guess it's more of a pink or a salmon one, isn't it? But at any rate, I got this clumping effect by using what's called Perlin noise, and I used my own version of it that creates this. Well, in fact, I'll show you what my Perlin noise looks like. What I have to do is go in and, let's see. Yes, draw the Perlin noise. And when I pull it up, you'll see it, and everybody will go ooh and ah because it's quite amazing. Yes, so what you're seeing here is what the Perlin noise would generate if it was doing land generation. And the map that you saw is being generated atop this. So each tile has basically what you would consider like a pixel or what have you, and it's what pixel it gets in this Perlin noise is determined by its position relative to other tiles. So that's cool. Things are kind of working out with that. And another thing that I've done, you'll see that this will generate the exact same map every time I run. And you know, all the way down to the last detail, the Perlin noise is always the same. And yeah, so what I've done is I've added seeds. It's a seed-based generation now. Another thing that I've done is I've gotten rid of this two-dimensional array, which was my grid. What it was doing is, and you may have remembered this from a previous episode of Ruins, is that the level generation crawlers would hit up against the edge of the graph and kind of like squish up against the side, and you get this weird generation style, and it wouldn't look very good. So I got rid of that, and these tiles are basically just hanging out in the wind. I guess you'd call it. They're just out there. They're not in a grid. They just generate wherever they want to, willy-nilly. There's no structure holding them together, which is it's very liberating for what I can do with level generation, but it's also a little bit too free. Because I can get some really, long hallway levels that end up being very difficult to traverse and whatnot. And this is getting actually kind of close to that. Another thing is I have wall collisions now. So I'm trying to go into the wall here, but I can't. I can go in any other direction, but I can't go into the wall. And he will also... So here I'm holding up and left at the same time, so he won't get stuck if you're just going against the wall in any direction. It's he'll kind of slide up against it and try to find his way around the wall that you're pressing up against. Anyway, yeah, a lot of updates on that. In addition to the Perlin noise creating these tiles, I forgot to mention, it will also generate treasure more readily in the brighter sections, well, specifically in these carpeted sections. It's more likely to generate treasure, and it's more likely to spawn monsters in this more mucky area. So a great thing about this is, as the player is playing, he might come along and say, oh, there's going to be more monsters over here. I don't want to be around here for too long. I can find treasure over here. And so the player can kind of build up an intuition of where things are going to be and when they need to be on high alert over here versus where they start looking for the goods, right? Anyway, I was also asked to talk about making this game appeal more for women, not for any reasons other than advertising, or not advertising to women, but having women included in my audience base. So I'm going to go ahead and play that little clip for you, and while I do that, I'm just going to do some level generations, because who doesn't enjoy watching level generation after level generation after level generation? I certainly enjoy it, and I don't know, there might be some crazy ones. Anyway, go ahead and take my recording and give it a listen. So I've been doing quite a bit of research on what girls like in video games, and I figured a great place to start is with the ratio of female to male gamers. And what I found kind of really went against what I had been told for quite some time. I had been living under this fiction, I guess you could call it, that more gamers now are female than there are male gamers. Well, as I was looking at the numbers from the ISFE, the ESA, the ESAC, a bunch of different organizations that collect this data and put it out to the public, I found that the highest female to male ratio in the world belongs to Japan, where you have 66 women to 34 men who play video games. And then I found that the lowest is 27 female to 73 male in China. The average, which also coincides with the mode, and those of you who don't know what the mode is, that's the number that occurs the most, as opposed to the average, which is the sum of it all divided by the number of entries. So the mode and the average both coincide at 46 female players to 54 male players throughout the world. So that's a little bit, that's encouraging. It means that girls aren't being relegated to the back seat anymore, but it certainly isn't what I was thinking when I first set out on this research. So what I'm also finding is interesting is what girls tend to play the most of. And I was thinking, oh, well, girls are going to want to play a lot of the same games that guys are going to want to play. The reality is that girls do tend to play more of these casual games. Women also tend to play more on the PC and the phone than they do on consoles, whereas men tend to play consoles more than anything else, the PC or phone. And what I found in what's most popular on the computer versus what's most popular on the phone versus what's most popular on the console is that tends to show what girls are more interested in versus what men are most interested in. Women tend to be more interested in the kind of game that I'm making. So that was really a bit surprising to me, because I never thought, oh yeah, roguelike women, right? You think roguelike men, but it turns out that now the majority of roguelike players are men. I want to make that clear. But a lot of women play roguelikes because it is a casual strategy game, something that they really enjoy. Something they enjoy even more is like Candy Crush, right? Like Candy Crush is so popular among female and casual gamers that I'll bet you your grandma plays Candy Crush. So anyway, I've been putting all this data together and been really surprised at what I found. I was under some impressions, and I guess that's what happens when you when you trust one place above all others. And I really had to kind of dig for a lot of this data and pull it together into a conglomeration of information. So anyway, now I have to figure out how to make this game more appealing to women, right? Well, I guess the first question I have to ask is, do I have to make it more appealing to women? And I'm not entirely convinced that I do. I don't think that there's any sword hanging over my head that will fall upon me if I don't make my games more appealing to women. But I do want to have as big of an audience as possible. Now, if I cater too much to women, then it might be off-putting to men. And it might even be off-putting to women. I don't want them to feel like they're being pandered to. So, I'm trying to find that happy medium, and I would love to get your feedback on what I can do to widen my target audience as much as possible without alienating anybody that's currently in that target audience. And right now, that target audience is players between the ages of 12 and 40 who are into this casual roguelike kind of scene. I've also made it more of an RPG-like game so that I can get more of the quote-unquote hardcore gamers, right? So I'm trying to bring those in, trying to introduce story, just bring in as many people as I can without alienating anybody. So this game is being designed such that you can play it as a game to really put some hours into, or a game that you can just pick up and toss out the door in 5 minutes. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope that you all enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to give me a like and to subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, I'm Conan. Have fun.